Hello and welcome back to part 4 of the video. So in part 4, what we are going to do is that we are going to now break the character down into scenes, which is the the book outline or table of content. We are going to break down into scene to help us to write. Reason being is that we don't generate the book like the way we do other normal books because the story has to stay consistent. Okay, in a sense that we move from Toronto to Ontario, back, what happens between that space of the journey, back and forth, and then to the next place. So if we were talking about Washington to New York, what happened along the road trip, what occurred, what was said. So the story has to be consistent with one another. That way, the reader is always engaged. So now, this is the trick to it. You see, we are breaking chapter one down. So when you get to chapter two, what you're going to do is that after you are done writing each scene, which we are going to do in this video, after you're done writing each scene, what you do is that instead of chapter one, you now make it chapter two, and then chapter two, chapter three. That is how we move on to the next chapter. So please break chapter two in the outline into series of scenes that will cause an effect lead from scene to scene and build towards chapter 3. That is how you do it. So in this case, we're focusing on chapter 1, and then that will lead to chapter 2. So we press enter. So now we have chapter 1. These are the scenes of chapter 1. So chapter 1 has 8 scenes. So this is what we need to do within the prompt. I've given you guys the prompts earlier on. So this is what we will do. Now, now, remember, chapter 1 has 8 scenes. So this is the edit to it. This is this scene is one of 8 in this chapter, and all 8, remember, you need to make approximately 1,000 words to reach our ultimate word count. Please write each scene so that it naturally leads to the next scene, in this case, scene 2. So, what we're doing is that we are writing scene 1, which is this one, that it will naturally lead to scene. We are writing this word, scene 1, and then what we do next, it so that it can naturally lead to scene 2. So, in this case, we will leave it like that and press enter. So the next thing we want to do is that we will copy this prompt again. And this time, this is scene 2, and then it should lead to scene 3. So this is how we make the edit to the prompt. And mind you, if your scenes are more than 8, you also change this here, and then you also change the 8. The total number of scene, you always change it based according to the number of scene that the AI has broken your chapter into for chapter 1. Okay, so Now we have okay. So this is scene one. We're still writing scene one. Scene one has ended. So now we're going to, after we've made the edit to the prompt, we're now going to write scene two. So this is how we will continue till we finish all eight of the scene. So now let us go back to this part. This is where I think a lot of you guys had the issue. So now let me rectify that issue. Remember, we have written chapter one, we have outlined all their scenes, and these are their scenes we are writing. So now we've gotten to chapter two. So now please break chapter two outline into series of scenes that will naturally build up toward chapter three. So this is where you keep making the edits. So when the scene has it's broken down, then the next thing you want to do is start writing scene by scene. I did not complete the chapter one or eight of the scene because we are currently at scene three. But I just wanted you to see how we move on to the next chapter after we have written all of the scenes. How we move on to the next chapter, which is please break chapter two, which is this prompt. The same prompt you use to break chapter one down, that is the same prompt. It's just that you'll be changing the number to move to the next. Like in this case, so as you can see, it also has eight scenes, so you don't really need to do much about changing anything about the scenes prompt. So now you leave it and then you start again. You see, this is one scene out of eight. So you press this and then let it go, and then immediately this is it. Okay, I made a mistake. When you're writing chapter two, where you see this chapter, you change it to chapter two. Also, it's going to repeat the same scene for you. So instead of chapter one, chapter two, chapter two, scene one. So you make the edits, which is a please write the first scene of chapter two. This scene is one of eight. In this chapter, always eight. So the number of scenes that has been written, this is where you write them. The total number, and this is where you write them, which is eight. Eight, which is the total number of scenes that has been written for chapter two. And then the current scene you're on, which is chapter scene one, this is where you wanted to write. And then where it should lead after scene one, it should be scene two. So you copy this prompt again. And then when you're writing scene two, this is where you put two, and this is where you put three. That way the story is consistent. Thanks for watching. That'll be all. I'll see you in the next one where we actually format what we've generated. Bye bye.